Thank you. So some of the board members may recall I was before you back in May of 2022 to give an initial presentation on the need for the town to update its comprehensive plan. So tonight I'm here to provide an update on our efforts since that initial meeting. So an overview of tonight's presentation. I'm going to briefly go through a recap of some of those initial slides from May of 2022 just to refresh your memories. I'm also going to explain and go through a timeline of events of things that have occurred since then and give you a current project status update. And then I'm going to speak a little bit about our consultant selection process and recommendation, and then touch upon the project funding and next steps. So back in May of 2022, I presented the basics of what a comprehensive plan is and some of the benefits of having an up-to-date comprehensive plan. For those that may not know, a comprehensive plan is a document that serves many different purposes. It engages the community to establish a long-term vision and identify and prioritize goals and objectives. It also informs land use regulations and local decision-making and prioritizes capital improvement and infrastructure projects. So, brief history of comprehensive planning in Webster, and there were earlier growth management plans, but in the recent future, the town had been updating it every 8 or 9 years. So last time the comprehensive plan was updated and adopted by the town board was in 2008, which is about 16 years ago. So we are definitely overdue. So at that point, I had expressed what our estimates of this effort would cost. Typically, it's an 18 to 24 month effort, and about 2 years ago, we estimated that cost to be around $100,000. The next step after a plan is adopted, you then go into zoning code revisions. So you want to make sure that your land use regulations reflect the goals and all of the vision and recommendations of the plan. So we anticipated that being an additional year to a year and a half effort at an approximate cost of $50,000. At the time, we had identified several potential funding sources, one of which was a relatively new program offered through New York State, their consolidated funding application process. They have a smart growth community planning and zoning program. We also, at the time, had indicated that this would be an eligible activity for use of the ARPA funds. And we also said, we can plan ahead and kind of spread out the costs just in the regular budget cycles over 2 years. So fast forward, I'm just going to briefly hit on some of the milestones that have taken place since then. I came back in the fall of 2022, and the town board actually indicated support for moving forward on the comprehensive plan update, and they passed a resolution allowing us to solicit for consultant services. Now, we had applied for the $100,000 grant through New York State in July, and the awards weren't expected to be announced until late 2022. So we did move forward pursuing that grant opportunity, but we also basically made a commitment to move forward regardless of if we were successful with the grant, given the length of time it's been since the last plan was put in place. So in early 2023, we were actually notified that we were successful in our grant application. We were awarded the maximum amount of $100,000. So then, as most of you know, when you engage with state agencies, there's often a lot of administrative paperwork and a lot of things to work through. But we ultimately did work through. We have executed our contract with New York State DOS to receive those grant funds. So we spent earlier this year in 2024, once we were finally under contract with the state, we developed a request for proposals. We are proposing to utilize outside consulting firm to help us, especially with a lot of the public engagement that's going to be needed out in the community. So we developed that. We released it over the summer, and we did receive several proposals, and we had an internal committee review those proposals, which I'll get into on some subsequent slides. So really the next step is to present that process and get town board authorization. The tentative plan is to officially kick this project off with the community in January of 2025. It's expected to be an 18-month process, so we are hopeful that we can stick to that timeline, which would give us a fully updated and adopted new comprehensive plan in mid-2026. So, for the request for proposals and the consultant selection process, as I previously mentioned, we developed the pretty robust request for proposals, very detailed. We issued it to directly to approximately 30 local and regional professional planning consulting firms, both in New York State and in the Northeast United States. We also advertised it in the New York State Contract Reporter, which is where a lot of these firms keep an eye on for upcoming opportunities. So ultimately, we did receive 5 proposals from different consulting firms. 4 of them were local, 1 was in Pennsylvania. So we formed an internal review and selection committee consisting of myself, our new junior planner, Erica Corsi, Renee Dewar also served on that, as well as Keith Mortimer, our town engineer, and Matt Chatfield from WIDA. So everyone had about 2 weeks to read through all of the proposals. They were given a grading matrix to kind of evaluate on several different specific categories of each proposal. Those categories included project understanding, project approach, their technical competence, their relevant experience, and then their capacity in terms of staffing. So each of those categories were rated by the reviewers on a scale of 1 to 20. We tallied up the scores to give it's a score out of a possible 100. So we held a meeting and discussed each of our thoughts and ratings for the proposals. And I'm about to present to you those findings, a summary of those findings. So what's up on the screen is essentially a summary chart of everybody's ratings for each of the categories that culminates with a total score indicated, the numbers indicated in red. You'll also see a column that indicates each proposal's total fee and the total amount of hours that they propose to dedicate towards the project. So essentially what we did was we added up each score for each respective firm and then averaged those scores out to come up with a ranking. 4 of the 5 reviewers did rank Collier's Engineering and Design as their #1 choice based on the scoring. And when we factored each individual score, they actually rated highest overall on average when calculating the individual ratings. So it is our recommendation that we engage with Colliers Engineering and Design. We felt that they had a very comprehensive approach to this very important initiative. They certainly have extensive experience working with communities of our size. They're also very familiar with the Department of State. They're actually contracted by the Department of State for various activities, so they're very well versed in all of the grant requirements that we will be held to as a part of this project. All other of the 4 other proposals, they had very good elements in them, but all in all, the consensus of the group was Colliers Engineering and Design, and we're very confident that we can get a very good product with going with them. So, just to recap the project funding, again, the recommended firm's price came in at $109,950. We have been awarded the $100,000 grant from New York State, which does require a 10% local match. That brings it to approximately $10,000. So basically, the total cost to the town would be just under $10,000. Now, the 2025 approved budget includes $150,000 in funding for this project. It's shown as an expense, however, that will be offset by the $100,000 grant, which is considered revenue. So the next steps would be town board confirmation of our recommended consultant, which would lead to a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign a contract so that we can begin engaging with the firm. We would execute the contract in November, December, and prepare for the official project kickoff in January of 2025. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions or hear any comments that anyone may have.
I think it's a great project. It's been planning board for a while. It's long overdue. It'll help guide the planning board when new projects are coming to the board on probably doing the whole comprehensive plan and help with approving projects or giving guidance to the board. So nothing nice too to have a new view for the community. That's the goal. They've done so much has changed in Webster. It's a great project and good time.
I would agree with that assessment. It's long overdue, and encourage moving forward.
Couldn't agree more.
Jane?
No, as long as they would in the scope, the finance, it should be good.
So, thank you, Josh. At our 7:30 regular town board meeting tonight, which, by the way, we'll probably start a little after 7:30 because we had one more workshop. At our 7:30 regular board meeting, resolution 12 is about this, having the supervisor authorized to sign on with Colliers. In the agenda, it said this may be tabled to November 21st because we just didn't know how the board would feel about the presentation that Josh just gave. So we'll
I think
cross
we're very
that.
fortunate to have received that $100,000 grant and to get this comprehensive plan consultants hired for, $10,000 as part of it.
I agree.